Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the achiever in you.
Over the Memorial Day weekend, Fort Ligonier will be filled with British soldiers and colonial militia reenacting life on the frontier during the French and Indian War. Fort Ligonier was one of the outposts established by General John Forbes in 1758 during the March to the Forks of the Ohio that led to the fall of Fort Duquesne and the naming of Pittsburgh. Well, visitors can relive that history all summer long with a series of special events. Annie Urban is Executive Director of Fort Ligonier. Erica Nuckles is Director of History, and welcome. Good to have you both here. And Annie, welcome back.
Thank you, Bill. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we had a big celebration, I guess it's, golly, 7 years ago or so now, with the big Pittsburgh 250 and a lot of involvement, really telling the French and Indian War story and the whole march to Pittsburgh. And you guys are still out there, still at it, and programming growing at Fort Ligonier?
We sure did have a wonderful celebration, and yes, programming has been growing extensively at Fort Ligonier. It is hard to believe it's been 7 years since the 250th commemoration. In fact, we were just talking, we're starting to get ready for the 260th commemoration.
It's about that time.
In a few
there you
years.
go. Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
yes. So Erica joined our team last summer, and she has come up with some great new programs, starting with this Memorial Day weekend, having the major reenactment happening on the fort grounds.
Yeah, so what's that all about? What can people see, do, experience?
So it's going to be 18th century military history weekend. So we're having members of 7 Years War Inc., who is a new reenactment group who hasn't been at the fort before. They're very excited to come and experience the fort through living history. We also have members of the 8th Pennsylvania Regiment, which is a Revolutionary War group that will be there as well. So it's a little bit of a timeline of 18th century military history. And really, we do try to stress the connection between the French and Indian War, which was part of the 7 Years War, and the Revolutionary War. So it's really nice to have both units there.
Well, 7 Years War, right? That's what they tend to call it in Europe for the most part, right? It's the French and Indian War here in the colonies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a site of world history, which we try to stress day to day through our exhibit called The World Ablaze that opened in 2008.
Yeah, well, and that's really the whole story, that those opening shots of the French and Indian War here started that drumbeat, that activity that in many ways led to the American Revolution.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah,
yes.
so that you're kicking it off with a big reenactment and people can come and really see and experience in that. What other kinds of programming is shaping up for folks who want to head out to Ligonier and the Laurel Highlands this summer?
On various weekends, we will have different interpretive programs going on. We will have bread baking and cooking demonstrations at our beehive ovens. We also have some children's activities going on throughout the summer. 2 weeks of Fort Kids Camp, which is always a blast for the children. And then in July and August on Wednesdays, we have a program that we call the Cannonball Club. And children come to the fort on Wednesday mornings and take part in a variety of activities, including scavenger hunts and museum quests. And they play a game of cannonball, which in modern day we know as dodgeball.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like you have a pool there, they're cannonballing into the pool. Dodgeball, I get that.
Dodgeball, yes. It happens to be black and looks like a cannonball.
Okay, well, that's perfect.
Harmless.
Okay. Yeah.
But one of our really exciting events is we're thrilled to announce that on June 27th, we will be the site of a concert by the Westmoreland Symphony Orchestra. Oh, wow. And we had done this 2 years ago, and it's a free concert. The Symphony Orchestra brings 50 of their musicians, and they perform a concert on our historic grounds. Folks are invited to come and bring their lawn chairs and their blankets, enjoy the beautiful music of the symphony, and that'll be on Saturday, June 27th.
Well, that is really cool. Erica, got to ask you, you're relatively new to this position, Director of History. Given the history of that fort, do you feel like you have a lot of work, a lot to work with, a lot of stories to tell? Are you enjoying this opportunity?
Absolutely. It's a thrill to work at the fort. It's somewhere I've always wanted to work. I actually grew up going to Fort Ligonier as a little reenactor since I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow. You've really been walking the walk from the time you were a kid. Yeah.
And just seeing the place grow and expand and to grow up with that collection has been really wonderful. And really just being able to tell the story of young George Washington involved in the French and Indian War and being at Fort Ligonier is really special. Being able to take people in our portrait gallery and talk about all the major figures of the French-Indian War and the 7 Years' War, and then to just be able to have this incredible fort that you know, there's so many stories of all of the different types of people that inhabited the fort. You know, in 1758, there were around 5,000 people there doing all sorts of jobs.
Are there 5,000 people in Ligonier today? That's sort of the high water mark. Yeah.
So there's no shortage of stories to tell at the fort.
That's really exciting. Well, if people want to find out more, you have a website?
That is true, fortligonier.org. We also have a Facebook page. We're constantly posting photos and events and activities, so you can find out information either way.
All right, excellent. Well, congratulations. Good reason to make everybody's way up into the mountains this summer.
Absolutely.
Annie Urban, Erica Nuckles from Fort Ligonier.
Thank you,
so
Bill.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.